What's up, everybody? It's your favorite hood healer. It's your favorite hood high priestess. It's your favorite motivational dominatrix. It's your favorite auntie, captain, goddess, king, LadySpeech in the place to be. And I want to welcome you back to my channel. You could be anywhere in the world. As a matter of fact, you are somewhere in the world, and you're also right here, right now, sharing some time and space with me. So thank you. I appreciate you. If you're feeling this, if you're feeling me, if you like what I'm doing, if you like what you see, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and make sure you hit that notifications bell so you can keep up with these here shenanigans whenever you want, whenever you press play, whenever you press replay, whenever you get your notifications. Now, let's get into today's video. All right, y'all. So as you can see from the title of this video, we are gonna get into it. We are gonna get into it, so let's just go ahead and get into it. Let's begin with talking about a little bit of my history with being a Jehovah Witness, a recovering Jehovah Witness, okay? So I'm only gonna give you a brief synopsis of that history. You can reference some of the other videos in the playlist that this is going to be included in, or just in the channel in general, to understand a little bit more of my history with being a Jehovah Witness. But for the sake of this and the purpose of this video, I will only give you a little bit of research just in case, or background, not research, but I'll give you a little bit of my background on the subject, and so you can have a little bit of foundation. And then if you want a little bit more, know a little bit more deeper, dig off into my channel to get that information. So anyway, I grew up like most of my childhood, more than half of my childhood, being a Jehovah Witness. I was raised, I was indoctrinated, I was inserted into that cultish religion. And I've experienced a lot of okay things, and a lot of bad things, and a lot of not so good things because of growing up Jehovah Witness. Today we're going to speak about what it's like growing up being a Jehovah Witness in regards to mental health specifically. So I have been very transparent over the years, being an artist, being an influencer, being a public figure, about my history with different types of abuse, from sexual abuse, emotional abuse, mental abuse, spiritual abuse, physical abuse. I have endured, I have survived a whole lot. Okay, the bulk of, when I speak of the spiritual abuse that I've experienced, a lot of that, most of that, the bulk of that comes from my Jehovah Witness background. Okay, I was raised a Jehovah Witness about a little bit more than half of my childhood, and being Jehovah Witness is something that my parents were rooted in. My mother a little bit longer than my father, but both of them came into that tradition when they were teenagers. Okay, so I have a very rooted history with being a Jehovah Witness. All right, so in regards to mental health, let's get right into it. Let's hone into that. So I came into being a Jehovah Witness. I was born into it. My biological parents were married when I was born, and they were both Jehovah Witnesses. So I was born into that religion. And then my parents split up when I was around about 3 years old. Okay, so this was my early foundation. I was disconnected from the religion after my parents divorced, and then I came back into the religion around about 8 years old. So I was connected to it for about 3 years. I was disconnected to it for 5 years, and then I was reconnected to it at 8, and then I left it again at 18 years old. Okay, so during that time of being a Jehovah Witness, when I was young, of 1 to 3, of course, I was a whole baby. I was a whole baby, a whole toddler, so I was concerned with being a whole baby, a whole toddler, okay? I wasn't concerned about the religion. I wasn't a conscious being, so to speak. I wasn't all the way there. You're 3, you're a baby, okay? So 1 to 3, I wasn't active, and I wasn't an active participant. I did what my parents told me to do. I participated in anything my parents brought me to. So from I would say from 3 to, what was that, about 3 to 8 when my parents were divorced and I was living with my mom, I did not participate in the Jehovah Witness space. And in that space of my life, I experienced a lot of abuse. I experienced a lot of sexual abuse. I experienced a lot of neglect from my mother. I experienced a lot of hard living, okay? The life that I lived with my mom created the foundation for many of my issues in life. And it definitely was the foundation, and it was the seat of where a lot of my mental health issues began. And that was directly tied to the treatment that I experienced as a child from my mother. So when I came back into contact with being a Jehovah Witness on a regular basis, when I began to live with my dad when I was 8 years old and his family, and they were active practicing Jehovah Witnesses, I already had a very good foundation for unstable mental health. I was already a survivor of child rape. I was already a survivor of molestation as a young woman. I was already a survivor of a lot of crazy things. And so my mental health I didn't have the best foundation already. When I came into being a Jehovah Witness at 8 years old, and I was with my dad's family and we were regularly practicing, mental health issues weren't something that the Jehovah Witness religion was focused on, okay? The solution to everything was Jehovah. Domestic violence, the solution is Jehovah. Pedophilia, the solution is Jehovah. Deviancy, solution is Jehovah. You gamble, solution is Jehovah. You are an alcoholic, solution is Jehovah. You are a drug addict, solution is Jehovah. So Jehovah worked for different people in these different areas of their life well. And Jehovah was not the solution for a lot of different people who were dealing with these issues in their life, me being one of them. In the Jehovah Witness space, when I was growing up, there wasn't a lot of attention paid to mental health issues. Jehovah Witnesses did not encourage, when I was growing up, seeking therapy or seeking therapeutic intervention. Every once in a while, depending on the congregation you went to, that would or could be encouraged depending on the depth of your psychological issue. If you had something like schizophrenia, or if you were diagnosed with bipolar, they might, depending on your congregation, depending on where you were seeking your spiritual counsel from, the Kingdom Hall, depending on what Kingdom Hall you went to, they might allow you to go to therapy. So I should say this, when growing up, there was never an explicit rule against not going to therapy. That was never outright said, but it was implied. It was implied, and going to therapy and seeking outside services was discouraged on an undercover basis. And it was discouraged on a direct basis, I would say that too. I remember being 16 to 17 years old, and I finally had the courage to go to the elders. And the elders are the local governing body of the Kingdom Hall. The elders they govern the congregation, they govern the Kingdom Hall, which is basically the church. So they govern their congregation. It is a council of men, only men, cisgendered men, who undergo a certain training in order to become elders. And so they are the ones you go to basically for everything. You go to them for your mental health. You go to them when you're struggling. You go to them when you struggling spiritually, emotionally, physically. They are your one-stop shop for spiritual counsel that is supposed to get you to the right space. So oftentimes, mental health issues were taken to the elders, and the elders would pray on and pontificate about and have meetings about your issue, and then come up with a verdict, and you were expected to adhere to this verdict, okay? The problem with this is the governing body of elders were not trained in psychology. They were not trained in trauma. They were not trained in pain. They were not considered mandatory reporters. And they were not trained to handle women's issues, gay issues, transgendered issues. They weren't trained in any of this. They were also not trained in mental health counseling, okay? So, the direct message and the indirect message that I got from being raised as one of Jehovah's Witnesses in regards to mental health is pray about it. And once you pray about it, once you pray to Jehovah about it, you pray to Jehovah and hopefully they'll make it better. And if Jehovah has not made your issue better, well then that's your fault. You need to pray harder. You need to be more devout. You need to be more focused. So this is the stance that I was given when I was younger. And let's talk about how that messed me up. So like I said, I came into being a Jehovah's Witness after living with my mom, and I had received and experienced and lived through a lot of horrific things up under my mother. So I came back into being a practicing Jehovah's Witness under my family, under my father's family. I'm a very damaged person, needing help, looking for help, wanting help, all of that stuff. And I walked into an environment that was not prepared to deal with me, was not prepared to help me, was not prepared to heal me, was only prepared to indoctrinate me, was only prepared to, mold me, was not prepared to actually see me as a person, nurturing me as an individual. It wasn't prepared for that at all. So I walked into that situation extremely vulnerable, extremely hurt, in need of a lot, and not given anything that I needed in order to thrive, in order to heal, in order to rise above the horrible things that had happened to me. Okay, so coming into being a Jehovah's Witness, I was already experiencing and exhibiting spaces of depression. I was already experiencing behaviors, acting out behaviors. I was already experiencing dissociative behaviors. I was already dealing with a lot. Being a Jehovah's Witness and the way they think of children, and I'm speaking to when I grew up, children are more of a possession. Children are more of an accessory to marriage, an accessory to family life. Children aren't actually honored as individuals. The culture of being a Jehovah's Witness isn't about looking at each individual person and nurturing them so that they can access their full self and then use their full self in service of their path and purpose, in service to their community. No, the nature of, especially when I grew up as being Jehovah's Witness, children were an accessory to marriage. They were an accessory to, your duty as being a good Jehovah's Witness family, okay? But they weren't something that was actually looked at as something to be cherished, to be nurtured, to be protected. Most of the children I know who grew up Jehovah's Witnesses were terribly, horribly unprotected in one way, in one shape or one form or another, okay? So I walked back into being a Jehovah's Witness at around 8 years old, and I was already suffering from a lot. And being a Jehovah's Witness exacerbated that issue. It sat on that issue. It made me even crazier. It did nothing to heal me whatsoever at all. Being a Jehovah's Witness, you weren't really allowed to acknowledge mental health issues. And everything that wasn't in agreement with or in alignment with the Jehovah's Witness way of living, and especially the outward expression of that, was automatically thought of as demonized. So there wasn't really ever a space in the Jehovah's Witness space to really flesh out, to look at, to acknowledge your mental health issues. Jehovah's Witnesses have they pride themselves, are separating themselves from the world. That is the world, and I am not of the world. So the reason why a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses don't end up seeking help for mental health issues is because a lot of these things are viewed as of the world. You aren't encouraged as a Jehovah's Witness, at least when I was growing up. You were not encouraged to go to therapy for your abuse issues. You were not encouraged to go to therapy for your mental health issues. You were not encouraged to seek help for your psychological issues or for your chemical imbalances. You were encouraged to pray. And if that didn't work, you prayed some more. And if that didn't work, you prayed harder. And if that didn't work, you are a bad person. I remember coming back into Jehovah's Witness faith, and I was already exhibiting marks of depression. At that point, I was a survivor. I was a survivor. I was a survivor of child rape. I was a survivor of child molestation. I was a survivor. I was a survivor of a crack-addicted mother, of a drug-addicted mother, of a mother who had abandoned me off and on. I was a survivor of a broken home, not really understanding why my home was broken. I was a survivor of a lot. And I was mentally not okay. I wasn't okay. And coming into being a Jehovah's Witness, I was encouraged to pray about it, not to speak about it, to pray about it, not to heal about it, to pray about it, to repress it, to give it to God and let it go. And then once you give it to God, giving it to God means you don't think about it anymore. It doesn't affect you anymore if you did it right. There was no integration process. There was no forgiveness process. There was no process at all. I was never reassured that the dishonor was on my violators and not me. Because of the way that religion is taught, I was inadvertently taught that my rapes, my violations, my mistreatment were my fault because I was born a female, because I was born with female parts. So being a Jehovah's Witness, to sum it all up, was damaging to my mental health. They did not encourage you to heal. They did not encourage me to get better. They did not encourage outside sources or forces who were trained in these areas. They did not encourage me to go seek a psychiatrist or a therapist. They did not encourage medication in order to regulate chemical imbalances in the brain. They encouraged prayer and a connection to Jehovah in order to manage, heal, dissect, and deal with any and all mental health issues. And that damaged me, as well as a lot of other people. I ended up leaving the Jehovah's Witness space when I was 18 years old. This information is also contained in other videos on this channel. I ended up leaving the Jehovah's Witness space when I was 18 years old and striking out on my own and creating a life for myself. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done, and it was one of the greatest and the best things I've ever done. As soon as I left being a Jehovah's Witness, I began to, the first thing I did was acknowledge and say out loud that I had issues with my mental health. I was very clear that the abuse that I experienced gave me these issues, and I was very clear that I wanted to heal these issues as deep and as much as I could. And that is what became my mission. I dedicated myself to the lifestyle of healing, to the practice of healing, to the spirituality of healing, to the ancestral importance of healing. I dedicated myself to that from that moment forward, because essentially I wasn't allowed to. Under the control, under the influence of being a Jehovah's Witness, I wasn't allowed to really focus on my healing. I wasn't allowed to dissect what had happened to me. At my core, I believe that the reasons why Jehovah's Witnesses do not encourage mental health work at its deepest is because once you start dismantling, once you start healing yourself on the mental health capacity, you're going to start to see how abusive that religion is as well. The abuse of all of my violators actually ended up feeding into me being a docile and a good Jehovah's Witness. The moment I began to work on my healing at the physical level, at the emotional level, at the spiritual level, at the mental level, the more that the abuse of that religion became even more apparent. And the more I began to see why they did not encourage me to heal myself mentally under that space. Because once I started looking at the tactics of my physical abusers, then I would actually see how so many of those tactics mirrored what I was receiving from the Jehovah Witness space. So yeah, loves, my mental health journey from being a Jehovah Witness is a deep one. Let's talk about where I am now. So where is she at now? Where are they at now? Where is he at now? What is LadySpeech doing with their mental health now? Let's talk about it. If you have followed me for a long time on any of my social media, my Instagram, which got banned at 25,000, the LadySpeech page, I'm still salty about it. Hello, goodbye. If you follow me on Facebook, if you follow me on any of my social media, you know that I am very transparent about the fact that I deal with mental health issues. This has been a very important thing to me to be transparent about for years. I have been in the act of normalizing the conversation around mental health issues for a very long time. For over 20 years that I've been in this game, I've been speaking very clearly about my own mental health struggles and the fact that we need to normalize it. We need to destigmatize these conversations so that regular people can get the help that they need. These days, I am so much quicker to name my mental health issues, to be aware of my mental health issues. I'm not afraid to get help for my mental health issues. I am not at all afraid to go seek the help of any type of healer that the Spirit tells me to go seek in order to heal myself. So if it's therapy, if it's psychotherapy, if it's a naturalist, if it's spiritualist, if no matter who, what, when, where, and why, I am all about healing myself at every level, attending to my healing on the mental level, on the emotional level, on the physical level, on the spiritual level. Okay, so I am a mental health advocate for myself and others, and I'm all about focusing on healing and normalizing and destigmatizing the conversation. My life center is healing. It literally, that's the center of my entire life, is healing. So I have no problem being honest about where I'm struggling. I have no problem admitting when my mental health issues have gotten the most of me or gotten the best of me. I have no problem admitting when my mental health issues have gotten in the way of my behavior. I don't use these as an excuse. Me dealing with mental health issues is not an excuse for me to hurt people. It's not an excuse for me to be foul to people. It's not an excuse for me to do not so great things to people. It's not an excuse for that. However, when I am on the end of things, when I haven't been the best person to someone and my mental health isn't a part of that, I'm able to take responsibility for the aspect of me who committed that space in non-mental health issues and the part of me that committed that space in the depths of my mental health issues. So dealing with my mental health issues, being upfront about it, has created a really safe space of accountability. I'm able to be accountable for my bad behavior. I'm able to be accountable for the not so great things that I'm able to do. And I'm also, too, without judgment, understand when I'm acting out of a mental health episode and deal with myself accordingly. I have healers. I have my team of healers that deal with me. I have my peers, my closest friends, understand my issues to some degree, shape, or form, and the other, and they know to give me grace, and we've worked out agreements where they give me grace so that I can heal my stuff, work on my stuff, address it, make my amends, apologize when and where I need to, so that we can continue on in our friendship. So yeah, I think there was a lot of things to cover in this video, and there's a lot of things that I could say. I was literally about to go off into like another 30-minute tangent, but that's unnecessary. If you guys want me to talk about something else in regards to something specific in regards to being a recovering Jehovah Witness, you let me know in the comments. If you yourself are a recovering Jehovah Witness, let me know how long you've been free of that cult, because baby, it was a cult. It was a cult. If you are coming from another extreme religion, Seventh-day Adventist, or something else that I don't know about, or something I haven't mentioned about, or something that like I haven't talked about, let me know in the comments and let me know how you are doing. One of the best things I have done for my mental health was leave the Jehovah Witness cult. I'm so happy I did it. It was one of the hardest things I have ever done, and I suffered in the beginning of it so very deeply. And it was rough. It was rough. It was rough. But I am so happy I did it. If you are a Jehovah Witness who is considering leaving and you are looking for some courage, consider this a sign. All can and will be well in the end. Do what's right and do what's best for you, okay? If you are someone who's been out of the game for a while and you have yet to find your groove with this new life, you're struggling with finding a new life outside of being a Jehovah Witness, I want to let you know that there is a vibrant, beautiful, amazing existence waiting for you. So don't be afraid. Or be afraid and have some courage. Remember, my loves, that courage is not the absence of fear. It is being afraid as all get out and moving forward anyway, okay? It is an honor and a privilege to be able to share my story with you. Thank you so much for listening to it. If you made it to the end of this video, I thank you so very much. I appreciate you so deeply. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I hope and pray that your journey is a blessed one. So, again, if you're feeling this, if you're feeling me, if you like what you do, what I'm doing, if you like what you see, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications bell so you can keep up with all of my shenanigans. And I will see you in the next video. Mwah!